Jean-Christophe, hello, how are you?
As you can see, great. I mean, I'm in a virtual background of Condotti Temple, but I'm in Rome, where we are running our meetings for 2021. So we are connected with the whole planet and sharing with them what we're going to do next year before we can share it with you later on. But very exciting plans.
Well, it's always a pleasure to connect to you, Jean-Christophe, and of course we have so many reasons to celebrate today, because yesterday, basically a few days ago, that it was revealed that in 2022, the new Bulgari hotel in Rome would be open. And I saw yesterday the beautiful video with the mayor of Rome, which is something really, really special. So congratulations for this news. And do you want to tell me a little bit about
well, first, I mean, we have been very lucky that the mayor of Rome be part of the movie, because usually politicians abstain to support brands. In that case, I mean, we have very good connection and she's a good friend of mine. So she did it and I was very happy because obviously it's an endorsement which makes a difference. And she herself is conscious on how good it is for the city. Like companies like Bulgari do heavily invest so that the city retrieves not only its former glory when it comes to monuments we restore, like we did in Spanish Steps, but also in terms of hospitality, so that it attracts also the high-end clientele, which tended in the recent years to skip Rome for lack of really state-of-the-art hospitality. So a very exciting project in the best potential location we could dream about, because, to have the honor to stand in front of the first emperor mausoleum for Bulgari couldn't be better, because he's the one who really started the empire, influencing for centuries, if not millenniums, most of the Western world. And still today, I mean, when you go to Washington, to London, to Paris, it's Rome everywhere. And that place not only is about Augustus, about our building dating from the 30s, but also surrounded by some Barocko churches, which are amongst the best in the city. So it's a kind of 360 journey across 2,000 years of architecture, which for our clients will be unique. And obviously, this will be, even if Dubai has set quite a very high standard, it won't be comparable to Dubai. It's not on the seaside. It's not on an island, but it's an island by itself, being in probably the most sacred location of the city. And at the same time, by far will be the most luxurious hotel ever seen in Rome and surely in Europe.
Then we will look forward for 2022 to discover it in person, like we do with every property that you basically...
I will be the first to test the suites, the rooms, the kitchens, the amenities. and then I'll invite you.
Perfect. Now, Jean-Christophe, the last time basically we connected was during the lockdown, and we connected in April, and we were talking about how special is Italy to you, needless to say, to the brand. Of course, we spoke about Bulgari always making sure to transmit messages of optimism and hope. And what I want to know from you is, after this situation is over, because we don't want to look back except at what something positive to look forward to the future. What is a message or a motto that you carried on with you that will affect the way you're going to do work and business forward after the lockdown and COVID situation?
Well, I think that first, the COVID is a lesson of humility, because we thought that pandemics were kind of memories of the early 20th century, the last one being the Spanish flu right after the World War I. And so we believe that in a scientific society, we were totally protected, and then all of a sudden a small virus erupted in Wuhan, and 3 months later was global, shutting down the whole planet from any kind of activity, bringing millions of people back to poverty, killing hundreds of thousands. So I think it has been first, I think, a lesson of humility, that this planet is fragile. We knew it, I mean, already from the pollution and environment, the global warming. And now we know that it's equally true for the health of humankind, that we can still die in the 20th century from a pandemic. And we've been lucky probably this time, because even though it's spreading further in America and Latin America, I would say the rest of the world is quite under control, even though there's no vaccination. But it shows how vulnerable our ecosystem is and how important it is as not only governments, but private companies to try to contribute, to improve that ecosystem, which Bulgari has ever been doing, especially in the field of education with Save the Children. Founding hundreds of millions of dollars to provide education to kids who are very unfortunate because they live in refugee camps, in earthquake devastated zones. And the COVID has been another area where Bulgari has tried, to help. Obviously, it's a small drop in an ocean, but with many drops, somehow you fill the rivers. First, collaborating with Spallanzani, then converting the perfume production to gels, and saving the lives eventually to hundreds of medical staff in the intensive care units, because initially they had no gels and no gloves, and very little, to eventually decide to create that Bulgari virus-free fund, which looks forward, not taking for granted that COVID is over, but trying to speed up the vaccination development with Oxford, with Rockefeller, with Spallanzani. And beyond that step, which will be accomplished in the next 18 months, is, more generally speaking, to try to contribute to the eradication of the virus threat with further research. And that's why we are also financing scholarships, which is very consistent with the Save the Children program. It's getting one step further into university. Making sure that brilliant students cannot be prevented to accomplish their missions, their destinies, their talent, just for lack of money. And those scholarships are meant really to support brilliant students to accomplish their mission and their vision. And we are very happy, because for us, it's a continuity with Save the Children, where we start in kindergarten. And then this is, I would say, the last mile. And maybe one day, one of our students will have a Nobel Prize because he has discovered the universal antivirus vaccination.
I'm following the Save the Children stories, and for Bulgari, it's not something new. Giving back to society and the social responsibility that you carry, really, with a program like Save the Children that was really very profound and very needed, and especially that it's not only happening and taking place in Europe, it's actually rolling all around the world.
Exactly. We don't have any kind of
amazing.
No, everywhere it's needed, consistently, obviously, with the money available. We try to help. And even at COVID times, when we were ourselves making no money because our stores were shut down, the only money we spent was mostly to fight the COVID, and not to do advertising or promotions or whatever. And the other part of the money was to pay the salary of our people, even though they were not working. So this was more or less the use of our cash.
Jean-Christophe, we spoke about many reasons to celebrate. So the second reason that we're going to celebrate today with is basically the launch of the High Jewellery collection, Barocko. Normally, every summer since many years, I've been fortunate to be part of your events all across Italy in beautiful setup and themes and people and clients. What I want to ask you today is, how are you, before we start talking about the collection in details, how are you staying close to your clients? Well, at one point we used to have this physical and the experiential moment that you were sharing with your clients. What are you doing now to stay close to your clients? Because we still have certain restrictions.
So more or less exactly as I'm doing with you right now. We are 5,000 kilometers apart, but we are like if in the same room. So we are leveraging as much as we can the digital technologies, which are enabling things which were not even thinkable 10 years ago. And to launch a collection in June, as we ever did, and not obviously doing it physically because the restrictions are still too many. We have been once again pioneering High Jewellery in the way we presented. We were the first with catwalks, if you remember, in Paris 5 years ago.
course.
And we have been the first to introduce High Jewellery, not with a film catwalk. This would have been too easy. I leave it to others, but with augmented reality. Though that all our key clients have received the kits, including a beautiful art book with major masterpieces, an iPad Pro, and this iPad Pro has a special app within many other functions, where you can discover first what Barocko is, and Barocko is Roma. Roma has imported a lot of ideas in the antique times from Greece, from Egypt, from Persia to create the Roman style, but it was a style very much influenced by the previous ones. Barocco, conversely, came right after the 17th century plague and is a 100% invention from Rome. I mean, it was born in Rome, and there was nothing before Barocco which influenced Barocco. So it's the very essence of Rome. And therefore, one part of the app is dedicated to that historical kind of genesis of Barocco and what it has meant in terms of art, in terms of lifestyle. I mean, Barocco has been also an explosion of joy, of extravaganza, you know, after years of death, because the plague was a million times worse than the COVID. 40% of the population died of it. The COVID, 500,000 people out of 8 billion have died. So obviously, in those times, it was even worse. And so what followed was the extravaganza architecturally, artistically, but also in terms of life indulgence, which sounds like being really the essence of Bulgari, and by coincidence, this Barocco event comes right after the COVID, the same way Baroque was born right after the plague. So we have a kind of, you know, I don't know whether
coherence of the story in different times.
But very parallel history. And I hope that our Barocco will be as successful and impactful as Baroque has been in the field of arts. Because if so, then we really have something extraordinary. And so through this app, our clients are capable to discover the collection. And out of that collection, many pieces are three-dimensional, and you can pick them up and just have a try-on, make a picture or different picture with different angles, exactly as if you were in a showroom with Gianpaolo or Lucia. And eventually, if you're really convinced to buy it, we had already a couple of sales in a few days. And if you're hesitating, we will just fly you the piece interesting you. And well before the first physical event will take place, you will have not only virtually tried on the piece, but you will have seen it also by yourself. You will have tried the real piece and then have a chance to buy it before anyone else. So with that initiative, I think we break a bit the codes of High Jewellery. We bring digital into the equation. We've tried, obviously, executionally to have, I would say, a dream to touch execution of the shots of the product. I think they are even more beautiful than they are in real life. So, I mean, amazing have been the pictures. And this try-on is totally new jewelry. It's something that you can imagine we will broaden and extend also to precious jewelry one day, because it's obvious. And this allows clients already to be in Barocco, and then we launch it physically in Rome, of course, in September, and then we'll restart, I mean, to work the way we have ever worked, except that according to the sanitary situation we'll have in September, we'll decide whether many clients will be allowed in the showroom at the same time, or journalists, or if, like we did in Korea and Taiwan 2 months ago, we'll have slots which will be booked for one couple every half an hour, for instance, so that in terms of, let's say, safety, people will feel totally relaxed and not fearing any kind of contamination. So it's the first phygital High Jewellery event. And from the very first feedback we got, I mean, it looks like it's very interesting. Also, the feedback we got from the events in Korea, in Taiwan, in April, with no more big parties, but more intimate dinners, private visit of the showroom have been extremely positive. You know, High Jewellery clients often they enjoy partying, but they also like privacy, intimacy. And so they didn't dislike at all the fact that they were alone in the showroom with our grand vendeur, that they could exchange via Zoom live with Lucia, with Gianpaolo, even though they were 10,000 kilometers away. And so it's a new way, you know, of introducing high jewelry, but which looks very much appreciated by clients.
Yes, it's a new way of communication that was always there, but now I think COVID accelerated the way we offer solutions and communication tools to communicate with people.
COVID has been an accelerator of many things. I think because the technology was there, but we were underusing it because you are always victims, you know, of your old habits. And then a catastrophe arrives, you have the back on the wall. And then at this stage, you have really to find solutions, and technology in that case has been at 360 degrees, really the solution. iJewelry, I think, is a very good example with the augmented reality applied for the first time to the jewel discovery. Likewise, it has allowed the company to work for 3 months without any disruption, probably to meet more people than I ever met in all my career in 3 months, and getting much closer to the people thanks to the frequency and the flexibility enabled by Zoom. Likewise, I had a lot of contacts also directly with clients, which in normal times is more difficult because usually you do it when you're visiting their home countries. And it has also sped up, I would say, a new way of working with more smart work at home. Less shuttling, less transportation, so a better balanced life. Very efficient, however. A very, very positive impact on the planet. I mean, you've seen yourself from the satellites that during the lockdown, the planet for the first time in 30 or 40 years was clean. And so I think that the COVID, despite the tragedy, will change for good a lot of things we were using to do in a very inefficient or costly or time-wasting way, and also will lead to a more sustainable society. Not to mention the corporate social responsibility. I think that this was already an expectation from clients that they not only buy beautiful craftsmanship and creativity from great craftsmen, but also done by good companies which were not only striving for profits only, but were capable in hard times to be close to their communities, to support, to help in as much as their area of competency would allow them. And I think Bulgari, in the field of gels, typically has been an example, like Ferrari for respirators, or a brand like Gucci for masks. So I think that it has been a moment of union from probably the best companies, meaning by best, the more generous ones, who have all gone to war against the COVID to help the governments to control it quicker. And eventually, when I look at Italy, Switzerland, and UK, which are the 3 major countries where we have been extremely proactive, we have somehow contributed, I mean, to a pretty rapid control of a situation which was initially totally out of control.
What you did is amazing. I mean, Bulgari is one of the maisons that always was in the forefront of always, whether it's creativity, whether it's giving back to the community. From the restoration of the Spanish steps, I still remember the event, and it's always been a joyful and memorable moments with any Bulgari experience that I've had. We go back a little bit to Rome, always being at the heart of Bulgari's inspirations and designs and creations. I want to ask you, Jean-Christophe, because this is a question that many have in mind. What is it? What is the reason that Bulgari designs are so desired? Why is Bulgari today a successful brand? And in your opinion, what makes an object of desire?
Wow, that's many questions in one sentence. Well, first, for sure, the fact that Bulgari is from Rome and has ever been inspired by Rome is a major asset and advantage, as Rome is on the planet, with no offense for any other city, by far and acknowledged by any specialist in art and architecture, the richest country in the world. I mean, it's 27 centuries of ongoing, non-stop leadership and protagonism in the field of art, culture, architecture, politics, religious power, civil power. And this obviously has created a city with a huge diversity. We were talking about antique times, the mausoleum of Augustus, and now we talk about Barocco. And despite, I mean, this 27th century span, Rome is much more homogeneous than any other city in the world. Why? Because the underlying culture and value of Rome is the magnificence. Everything is larger than life. And this is why Rome has not only the highest number of monuments any city has in the world, but the largest as well. The Vittoriano, which was built right after the World War I as a tribute to the soldiers who died during the war, is bigger than the Colosseo. So everything in Rome, whatever the time of construction, and Barocco, Palazzo Colonna, the Vatican, I mean, everything is oversized. And the Roman life is itself oversized. People are overexpressive, but it's authentic. This is really the way we are. And this obviously has created a jewelry, a style, which is a kind of Bulgari school of jewelry, which is larger than life. It's bigger, it's bolder, it's more contrasted, it's more unexpected. And I think the Barocco collection is a kind of culmination of this inspiration with a best balanced bellow on the one hand and benfatto on the other hand. So the bellow of the aesthetic, where you will find all the curves and colors which have made Barocco pretty famous. But at the same time, when you look at the construction of the piece, probably the pinnacle of our excellence in working precious metals to shape them in a way which is hosting the gem as if there were one body only. And gems which are totally different with different cuts and colors and purity. And so Barocco for us is probably the most incredible collection we ever made. Also because it really comes from our guts. Barocco is Roma, and Roma is Barocco, even more than Roman, because Roman took a lot from Greeks and Egyptians. Barocco was born here, and this is really, I think, one of the key factors of success of Bulgari, to have the chance to be born in the richest city in the world, and to the humility to have borrowed to that city a lot of its style. And this has led to totally different jewelry, which you cannot copy with being legitimate. I mean, you can always copy, but the legitimacy, you cannot buy it. Either you are from Rome or you're not. And it's also irresistible because being colored, being very often on yellow rose gold, it's joyful. You know, I personally respect and love diamonds as well, but I have to say that I have a kind of aesthetic, objective admiration for diamonds, which is never as emotional as for colored eye jewelry. Because colored eye jewelry for me is shouting life. And especially in the post-COVID era where we are entering now, I think that like for the Barocco after the plague, this collection will be even more success. Then it's just celebrating, I mean, the beauty of colors, it's breathing life. The curves are departing very much from previous collections, which were more geometric. And also this is a kind of harmony that people probably after tragedy are looking for. So it's joyful, it's harmonious, but it remains very strong in character because we didn't compromise, I mean, with the volumes. And it's, I think that for historians, but they will decide in 50 years down the road, will be probably the most extraordinary collection Bulgari ever crafted.
It's going to go down in history. It's like a pure homecoming inspiration. Jean-Christophe, before we move to watches, because I know that next month we have Geneva Watch Days, huh?
With Bulgari, it never stops. No, with Bulgari, it never stops.
What we say is knock on wood. I hope that always it is busy days for Bulgari. But the question is, like, I remember the Jannah collection that was done in collaboration with Sheikha Fatma. And it was extraordinary. So it made a huge success. Are we gonna see any kind of collaboration in the pipeline? And what could you share on that?
So first, we continue the Jannah collection, not only, I mean, on the very high end, but also we are developing more accessible 5 petals jewelry, which will be available in the Middle Eastern boutiques of Bulgari. So Jannah collection will become a full-fledged collection spanning from 15,000 euros to millions of euros for the one of a kind. So what you've seen in February, what we've seen together in Abu Dhabi, was just the very beginning, I mean, of a collaboration which is meant to last quite long. Now that we develop another collection with another royal family somewhere, we should probably, because I think that the strength of a company is like the Roman Empire, to have the humility to acknowledge others' arts, ideas, and beauty. And as the Romans have absorbed, I mean, the best of Greeks, of Etruscans, of Phoenicians, of Egyptians, we pretend to absorb the best of any talent on that planet. So if, again, as we had the chance in Abu Dhabi, we meet with a princess with ideas, we'll be very, very happy to sit down and to figure out, I mean, not compromising with the Bulgari style, what it could generate. And I would be very excited myself to have other collaborations of this kind, because I think they make the brand richer, broader, closer as well with some regions, because it resonates with even more pride and so this is something that we are very open. And as soon as we again, we need to find a person as committed as we had for Jannah, but I'm sure that Lucia will fly overnight to start drawing and sketching as she loves to do.
I'm talking to Lucia next week, so that will keep also a lot of news to share together. Jean-Christophe, tell me about, I know that you can't reveal much about the Geneva Watch Days, but this is a very good step to take, even in the middle when still the markets are still opening up and trying to recover. What hints can you give us, and what can you tell us about this kind of activity?
Well, first, there will be about 20 brands, so it's quite a good gathering. It's not obviously as big as Basel or the Watch and Wonders, but on the other hand, you know, for journalists and retailers, 20 brands in 24, 48 hours is a huge saving of time and unique opportunity to meet with the CEOs. The second thing is that I know many of the novelties of those brands, and they are really substantial, so it's not just a new dial. Many have really or will bring to Geneva substantial news, meaning that for those brands and the retailers buying those brands, there is really a chance and opportunity to catch, to close the year on a very strong momentum, because it will be a big advantage to have novelties, especially significant novelties, and to start 21 on the right footing, so that in 21 we recover for what we lost in 20. And ideally reach the levels of 2019. So this is really the approach. And when it comes to Bulgari more specifically, being one of the founding brands, will bring very significant novelties. We have, on the one hand, a new world record that will be disclosed as a world first at this occasion. We'll have, for the first time in years, because the last time was Octo in 2012, so for the first time in 8 years, a new Gens collection, targeting a totally different client profile. I think it will be extremely popular with younger generation, especially in the Middle East. But again, time will tell. It's my opinion, my feeling, but but it's really a very exciting collection. And on the ladies' side, we'll have very interesting complements on the two main icons of the brand, namely Serpenti and Lucia, which you know better than I are meaningful in Middle East. So pretty good news for Middle East. So it will be new as a format. It will be decentralized. On the other hand, we'll have a gathering with all the CEOs. We'll have the GMT party as ever in Geneva. So, and we have obviously the full support of the Geneva government. So it's really, by all means, totally official event, totally endorsed, supported by the city of Geneva and the state of Geneva.
This is great. We will look forward to see what's going to come out of that gathering. Also, Jean-Christophe, what can you share with us on projects coming in the pipeline for the rest of the year? What are the highlights that are coming up?
Well, I mentioned what is already many projects. So on the jewelry front, there will be a lot of news on the Serpenti side. Serpenti is, together with Bureau 01 and Diva, our main pillar in jewelry. And so there's creativity which was planned for 21, which we have decided to anticipate in 20, because we are so much convinced about the strength of this new collection that we don't want to miss the Christmas, New Year opportunity. So this will be, and obviously we'll have during the second half, this sequence of Barocko events starting in Rome and then moving to China, to United States, to Middle East, to Japan, and so forth. So the show will go. Fragrances, we have a major launch for men just coming next month, which will be further complementing, one of our bestseller. And in leather goods, we'll have not only, obviously, the introduction in Milan of the spring-summer 21, but also a new capsule with a new talent, which we'll discover. She's Japanese, very creative. She's pretty famous, and she has designed, always following the motto, Serpenti through the eyes of. So it won't be Serpenti through the eyes of Alexander Wang, as we did last year and early this year. It will be Serpenti through the eyes of, and you will see. So, and then, last but not least, we'll announce the 11th and 12th hotels, because the deals are virtually signed, the final ones, which will see Bulgari setting a foot in America, which is very exciting because we are in the Middle East, we are in Europe, we are in Asia. We are not in America, and obviously building a global necklace of hospitality. That necklace needs to have some American gems, and then we'll add at least one gem very soon to the necklace.
This is amazing news. Jean-Christophe, what is a message that you'd like to share with us for the Middle East-based fans of the brand? And this one, I'm gonna record it. All right. Here we go. Okay. So what is a message you want to tell your fans of Bulgari in the Middle East?
Well, first, I thank them for their incredible support during the worst of the COVID, because, as long as the stores were open, they kept coming and buying the brand, and we gained market share. So it's a mark of trust, which puts further pressure on our shoulders to do even better. And I'm very thankful as well that during, the peak of the pandemic, they gave us a lot of time when we contacted them to chat, to exchange on a non-commercial base, but just as friends, thus reinforcing the connection we have with them. And last but not least, when stores eventually reopen, which is very recent, we are not yet back to the levels we used to be, but we see with the trends that we are very close now. And the only difference is that tourists have not yet come back. They will, because with the latest restriction lifted by the government and the resuming of Emirates flights, this should come back now pretty massively. And indeed, the hotel general manager, Pep, whom you know very well, is quite optimistic for the summer. So I really thank, all Middle Easterns for their trust, their support during that period of Bulgari. As thanks to that, we kept very high spirits. and we are getting back now to operation, more motivated than ever. I mean, we obviously I pay tribute to Vincent and his team, to Sonia, to Reda, who more than ever are proud to be Bulgari, just because you made them proud to be Bulgari during that time where you demonstrated a lot of support as well.
Jean-Christophe, I know that now summer started. We are already in a way midsummer. When are you going to take a vacation? And if there's a place that is on your mind that you want to go to, where is that place?
So I was supposed this year to go to the West Coast because it's a lifetime I didn't go there. It was not the best idea because apparently the West Coast is the one now worst impacted by the COVID. So I had to cancel. So eventually I will go very close from Italy. I will go to the south of France, the Roman cities of Nîmes, of Arles, which strangely, I don't know, even though I'm born French, but I've never been there. So always my Roman passion. I want to discover everything Roman, beyond Italy. And then from there, I will move to my summer house, which is near Monaco, where I will spend 10 days with my wife and some of my kids. So a very simple vacation, not too far away from home, but at the same time with a good balance of cultural discovery and good time with family and friends, as we all enjoy, I can imagine. So a normal holiday, I would say.
And Jean-Christophe, if you were granted 3 wishes, someone gave you 3 wishes and told you just make these 3 wishes, what would you wish for?
Well, I would, if I were a magician, obviously, immediately eradicate COVID and any other virus forever. I mean, I think since mankind exists, viruses have killed too many people, and this must stop. Probably the second thing is that I would provide much beyond what we did with STC educations to all kids around the planet, because I believe that health and education is the lifesaver of the planet for the long term. And this is, I think, the first priority of governments or private companies to ensure health and education. And if this is done, we have a bright future. If conversely, we overlook it, we are doomed. And the last one is to establish a long-lasting peace across the planet. We need, to live in harmony. We need respect. We need, and we've seen recently in the United States more than ever, to integrate diversity. And at last, after, I would say centuries, if not millenniums of wars or conflicts, to put an end to that, because eventually we all strive for the same values, regardless of our religions, regardless of our culture, which is very much centered around friendship, family, authenticity, enjoying life, without real reasons, except than manipulation, which sometimes bring us against each other. So this would be my third wish. A long-lasting peace, allowing that planet to live in full harmony.
Jean-Christophe, it's always a pleasure to have our, chats. It's always endless time, but I know that you have a busy day. So I would like to thank you so much for taking time for this interview. And it's always, as I said, a pleasure. I look forward to see you in person soon, somewhere around the world during a Bulgari.
Soon now, soon Middle East, because as Middle East is reopening, at least the Emirates, obviously, my schedule will be dictated by the reopening. So probably Middle East will be one of the first regions where I will come back. And then as other regions will open, I will resume, obviously, my beloved habit of visiting the countries, the markets, the teams, because it's something which is in my blood, in my heart. So I love digital and I will use it more than ever before. On the other hand, it won't replace 100%, the physical contact, which obviously creates even better and deeper connections.
Of course. So I wish you a lovely day, and we are waiting for you in the Middle East, Jean-Christophe.
And Lara, if ever you can fly to Geneva, you're more than welcome.
You never know, I might come.
The flight is officially reestablished between Geneva and Dubai, yeah?
Definitely. Looking forward.
Yeah. As of, I think, 15th of July, they've resumed the daily flight to Geneva and the twice daily flight to Zurich. So you have no excuses.
All right. I'll be there for watch days. I'll be there. So stay safe. Thank you so much, Jean-Christophe. And until we meet very soon.
Okay, you're welcome, Lara. Bye-bye, Reda.
Bye.